it through my manifest instead of my personal.
Okay, so we're live. Welcome everybody to another live with me and Siobhan Olivero and my beautiful co-host Nancy Benitez. We are a little bit late today.
Yeah, that's okay. Life happens, right?
Yes, one of us may have gotten tied up in a mediation all day long, so that just finished. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So
yes.
We're here, we're present. So
we are present. So we promised 5:30 every day, and we are only 40 minutes late for that promise today.
There we go. It's the way it's supposed to happen.
So. Yes, but we're here. So today we are talking about, I don't know why the live is not showing up on my page, but so today we're talking about the importance of self-care, taking care of yourself first when you're going through divorce or in those stressful times. And so the title of our show today was Put the Oxygen Mask on Yourself First. And I use that because I love the example of when you're on, oops, I gotta change my view here, sorry, so that you can see us both at the same time. All right, so and so I love the example, and Nancy, I think that you're familiar too. You know, when you go on a flight, right? You take a flight, and in the beginning, when they're giving you the emergency instructions, and they tell you, you know, when the oxygen mask comes down, to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help anyone else, right? So before you help your children.
Yeah.
And they do that because you can't take care of somebody else if you're passed out from lack of oxygen, or you're not doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. You can't efficiently, and you can't be there and help someone else when you aren't taking care of yourself. And so I am bringing this up because this came up for me over multiple calls this weekend as I was coaching people, right? And as I'm asking people, what do you do for you? Right? So you're stressed out and you're overwhelmed, and the kids are seeing you getting stressed out and getting upset about things. But what do you do for you? So what do you do for you when you're depleted? Right? And what I hear so many times from moms and dads, I'm sure you hear it too, Nancy, from dads, it's just, I don't take any time for myself, right? The kids come first, all of these things. And so then I bring into that example, right? They bring in that airline, emergency oxygen example. And of course, when I'm coaching clients, I make them answer that question, what does the airline tell you to put your oxygen mask on yourself first? And it's because it's so important to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, to make sure that you aren't depleted and that your reserves aren't depleted. Because if we aren't taking care of ourselves, we aren't showing up the best that we can be for our children, right? Because inevitably, and I'm sure you get the same thing, Nancy, when you're coaching people, that it's like you want to be the best parent you can be, right? And are you really then being the best parent you can be when you're overwhelmed and you're stressed and you're depleted and you're not taking care of you and what you need to do for you?
So. Right. Yeah. Let's say you're more impatient, right? And then this is the big one for me, because for a year, I got to a place where I put myself last. I was a yes person. I was saying yes to everything. I was completely depleted. And what that does is it shows our children that they need to deplete themselves until they do self-care, right? So now, what kind of example are we giving our children if we're not taking care of ourselves? Now my daughter, I'm like, you know what? I need to go take a shower. You figure things out here, like, where the fridge is. I mean, she's 11, and it had to get there. But when I wasn't showing up, like you said, when I wasn't showing up as my best self, when I wasn't getting enough sleep, when I wasn't eating, the right foods, or just taking care of my well-being, I was awful. I was an awful mom. Like, I was drinking, like I drink in the evenings just to feel better and feel more relaxed. And it was just this hamster wheel, And so it's, how do you take care of yourself when you're in those moments of complete depletion already? It's like those 5 minutes, like I was saying before this, in the bathroom, just lock yourself in.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all you need, right? It's just that 5 minutes in the bathroom, right? But you've got to do what you can do for you. And so, so I'll give a couple of tips that I like to give. And then Nancy, maybe if you have anything that you can add that you tell people about, but it's really, and like you said, your daughter's 11, right? So you can tell her, like, sit here and watch SpongeBob for, 30 minutes while I go take a shower, right? But, if your kids are even smaller than that and you're just like, well, I can't put my kids, there to watch SpongeBob for 30 minutes. What do you do? Well, then maybe it's that you get up a little bit earlier, right? So get up before they get up and take that time for you and do whatever it is for you. And so I give examples, and I don't ever tell my clients like get up in the morning and go meditate, right? Because meditation doesn't sit with everybody, but
Yeah.
take that time for you 30 minutes before your kids get up. So whether that's journaling, meditation, doing yoga, just going for a walk, or just sitting in quiet. Or if you're like me, it's music. I turn on music and I just spend that time with me, or I turn on a podcast and I do take a bath or a shower. And or you can do that after the kids go to bed. If you're more able to do it in the evening, then you do it after they go to bed. And then, of course, if you're in the middle of a divorce and you've got, the time sharing going back and forth, then you've got times that the kids aren't with you, that you can do things that are even more than just, before, after the kids go to bed, or, or before they wake up. And, and it is, again, whatever works for you. Go take a day at the beach, go take a long walk, go to the park, go, just, and going out with friends. And so this came up for me over the weekend too, where they were like, well, I don't want to go out with friends because all they want to do is talk about my divorce. And, and they mean well, but they're just like, you needed to go after them and whatever. And I'm like, then you put up a boundary. Like, we're going to go out and we're going to have fun. Like, this is for me to go out and have fun. So there's no divorce talk. Like, put up the boundary.
Yeah, totally. There's other things you can talk about, like the hot guy at the bar or whatever.
Exactly. So, so what type of things, like, Nancy, do you do for you, or do you help people and coach people on to find some good self-care for them?
So I think the biggest one, and, as a mom, and a person who likes to do everything on her own, I think the biggest thing for me was asking for help was a big one. Especially if you're going through a divorce, and I know this is so difficult for dads, for moms, but what I found really helpful, so I wouldn't feel so guilty about leaving my kid with someone else to get my self-care, was we would swap. I'd watch their kid for an hour and then trade an hour, because if you do have the kids all to yourself, your partner's not taking them, anything like that, you always have the kids and you never have a break. And so even if your friend comes over, yes, I will take you up on that hour. I can come over and watch your kid. Take the hour, go to the park, sit, do nothing, whatever, sit in your car if you have to listen to music, do something that makes you feel really good, I think is the biggest one for me, is really asking for help. And then, it's just about really checking in with yourself and figuring out what it is that you need. Maybe it's an extra, maybe it's sitting down for 2 minutes while your kid is playing and taking those 2 or 3 deep breaths, to just check in. Maybe it's, drinking a smoothie so you have more energy. It's just those little shifts, because, when you're in the midst of a divorce and you have so much going on in your head and you're feeling shitty, and it's just those little teeny moments, those minutes that you can take to be mindful and to really be present, that sometimes make all the difference in the day. So for me, it's about those tiny little moments, and even getting 5 more minutes sleep. Grab your kid, put him in front of some media and take a 5-minute nap or whatever, like you were saying, it's just or 10-minute nap if you can. But I would say those are my things, is those little micro minutes of sanity, just as you can take them, because sometimes we can't leave. We can't, there's so much to do, as so.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and I know we're on a time schedule here. So just one more thing that had come up that I wanted to make sure that we hit about. And so one of the other things that came up as I was, coaching and talking this weekend was, the anxiety that this particular person got, knowing that they're in the midst of a divorce, or they're in the process of getting ready to file a divorce, and so there's a lot of tension in the household, right? And so it's God, when I know he's going to come home, he's on his way home, he's going to be home at 5:30, and I just get so tense, right? And the kids are feeling the tension, and everything's happening, and that's feeling the tension. And so, one of the things that came up in that group as we were coaching was, a great idea of just, instead of sitting there reeling and knowing that he's going to be home, he's going to be home in 20, 30 minutes, take that time. And if you have the kids with you, take them too, and go out for a walk, right? Just go outside or go to the park or do whatever you need to do, so that you either not there when you get home and you are getting out to get yourself in a good state of mind before you do have to come home. Or if for whatever reason you decide that you need to be home by the time he gets home, then go, like if he comes home at 5:30, then go at like 4:30, and just go out and just do that
Yeah.
time for you. And if you have the kids, bring the kids along, make it a fun time for them, make it a time that you get to spend quality time with them too. But just you're getting you and you're getting your kids at the same time in that good state of mind, like in that good peace of mind, in that calm, in that peace and what you need. And so
Yeah.
as we wrap up, Nancy, I think it would be great for us to we've named off a lot of things kind of in conversation, but I
Yeah.
think we would be great to because I find, and I don't know if you do too, as you're coaching people, that people just, they don't seem to know what it is. Like, I don't know what puts me at peace and I don't know what to find and I don't know what to do. And, and we have, like, I have things and, and like exercises that I do with them to take them back to help them figure that out. But I would like to end with maybe us just kind of giving a list of things, right? We've kind of named some things throughout it, but like just giving a list of things to go and try it. If you've never tried it before, try it. Or if something does resonate with you, then to take that time. So, so I'll just start like naming off a list and then, pop in, Nancy, if you feel anything,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and then we'll pop to you. But you can, like we said, go for a walk. You can take a day to yourself if you have the day and go do something that you enjoy, whether that's going to the beach, going to a museum, going to a park, whatever that is. You can journal, you can take a bubble bath, you can do yoga. If you've got 10 or 15 minutes, like you said, Nancy, just during the day, those minutes add up. And, and you exercise was one of those things that make you feel good. Take, even if it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, find that time to hop on the treadmill or on the bike, or just do jumping jacks or do something that you can take to make yourself feel good. Anything else for you?
Yeah. Dance in the kitchen. Like, put on your absolute favorite music and dance with your kids in the kitchen.
Yes.
Another one, going back to the oxygen mask, is what do we need to breathe? Oxygen, right? So it's just about, I know this is so cliche, but it really does work, is doing the 4-7-8 breaths. And so it's taking 5, like those 5 deep breaths and putting oxygen into your body. So you start to feel better. I mean, even just sitting there breathing for 5 breaths, like that takes like a minute, right? And it's doing the inhale for 4, hold it for 7, and then exhale for 8. And do that and see how you feel like after 5, and you'll be like, oh my God, I feel so much better.
Yes.
And just doing that to just bring in some sanity. And what that does for me is it brings me present to my body. And it helps me forget everything that's going on, the divorce, the all the issues, the chaos, and it just helps me be present. And even with that, just say 2-3 times a day, your day is going to go so much better because you're in your body and you got some oxygen into your cells, which is what we need to breathe. So that's my 2 things.
And I will say the dance parties in the kitchen were some of the best times, right? You have a great time with your kids. And if your kids aren't there, that's fine. Have your own dance party. Like I can dance in my kitchen by myself all the time, right? And so, but if you've got your kids, that dance party in the kitchen is so much fun. Your kids are laughing, you're laughing, and you're just getting yourself into such a good state. So yes, it's definitely one of my favorite things to do too. So I love that one. I love that idea. So it's amazing. So
Yeah, well, thank you.
yes, thank you. So hopefully we brought some value to you, gave you guys some tips and some pointers, things that you can do to help you overcome that overwhelm and to make sure that you're taking care of yourself first, because you cannot show up for your children the way that you want to and the way that you need to if you don't put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Exactly. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye.